Okay, we are back in the Hearthstone Australia Community Cup, and it is grand final time, Blister guys. So we have a riveting matchup here between our top 30 legend player Blitz and our zoo grinder Nubs. So what do you make of this matchup?
This is an exciting one. It looks like these two players are the players who, I guess, prepared the best out of everyone else. We've seen some cool decks and some cool lineups, but both Blitz and Nubs have brought with them some very focused, quite aggressively slanted lineups here, and it paid off for both of them. Blitz has made it through to the finals, as far as I can see, without a loss, and Nubs being his only loss being Blitz in the round before this. So both players obviously just much sharper, much better lineups than their opponents. Watching them both has been a real pleasure. They've played very well, very aggressively, where appropriate. It's just been fantastic. So to see two great players like this come down to the finals is a real treat. We did have a few name players in the field, and unfortunately they fell by the way. So maybe we could be seeing the start of a couple of new name players in the Australian Hearthstone scene. Very exciting.
Yeah, it's undeniable that both Blitz and Nubs actually deserve to be in this grand final. Blitz has played relatively stellar, and again, as we've talked about, I guess ad nauseum now, is that Blitz's lineup and ban strategy is extremely focused, coherent, and makes perfect sense. And by the other token as well, Nubs brought some interesting decks and is piloting them super well. So all in all, both these players definitely deserve to be here, and I'm really excited that I've seen two fresh names and had the chance to commentate them for the first time.
Yeah, it certainly looks like a couple of players who are familiar with the Hearthstone tournament format, who know how bans work. They know how to build a lineup that targets a specific strategy. They know how to change what their ban strategy is based on what their opponents have been bringing. We've both seen them come up against what could be considered unpredictable lineups today, and they have adapted accordingly, and it's paid off for both of them. Like it is quite refreshing to see. As I said, like the first semi-final where Nubs and Blitz faced off, it's clearly seeing here that the two players who have worked the hardest for this are facing each other in the finals, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool, and it looks like the players are preparing to go into battle right now, so we should be on any second. So yeah, again, for anyone that hasn't quite watched throughout the whole day or has been sporadically turning the stream on and off, Blitz is piloting a super aggressive lineup featuring decks such as the all-popular Tempo Rogue, and bring back some Calisith Pirate Warrior for us as well. And whereas we have Nubs again, piloting some pretty conventional decks as well, with the X factor there, or I guess the most notable one being that Zoo Lock deck. Not playing the Discard Engine or anything like that, or just playing Doom Guards, Bone Mares, and just good cards.
I think it's interesting that both players have chosen to ban each other's Druid decks. And that's pretty cool. We've seen various bans throughout the day. Shaman bans, Druid bans, Priest bans. Both players bringing Druid have banned them, which just leaves them up for seeing who gets the more consistent draws with their aggressive decks and how well they play. I kind of like that Blitz has Shaman here against Nubs' Priest, Rogue, and Warlock. Nubs' Priest deck, if it gets the Dragonfire Potions at the right time, it probably could pressure some of the more aggro draws. Same goes for Nubs. His Shaman deck may well get on the board early, leveraging those Flame Tongue Totems and keeping his opponent off the board. So I think those are the two key decks for each player, Priest for Nubs and Shaman for Blitz, to see how they go. But of course, even a matchup that's 60% favoured only wins 6 out of 10 times, so it could go either way, and we will see.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that, I guess going into the day, we predicted that Priest and Druid were going to wreak a lot of havoc today, but it seems like Priest has been pretty tame in the overall context of what's going on, but catching a lot of bans in between as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. Priest has certainly stood out as a standout deck since the nerf patch went live. But of course, it's one surprise to a lot of people is that Jade Druid is still very strong, and it looks like the players are playing. So let's get into the games and see how they go.
Very keen on this. This is going to be awesome, especially with the way Nubs have been playing. I'm excited. All right.
So it looks like Nubs has gone up first with the Priest against Blitz's Shaman. And just a reminder, of course, last time they faced, Blitz did come out on top. So let's see how they go. Looks like Blitz has the coin, has thrown away several cards, keeping a Flame Tongue Totem and a Mana Tide Totem. Something that Priest can have trouble dealing with is an opposing Flame Tongue Totem. Outside of the single Shadow Word Pain or the Shadow Word Horror, right now a Control Priest list like this Kazakus list for Nubs will have trouble dealing with that Flame Tongue Totem, so I think that'll be why exactly why Blitz chose to keep it in his opening hand. And he was rewarded getting back a Firefly and a Bloodsail Corsair, so he's going to be on the board nice and early.
Yeah, Flametongue Totem wreaks absolute havoc on poor Priest players, and the only decision there with the Flametongue in hand, and it may be a little bit telegraphed, was whether you're going to actually Bloodsail Corsair there in preparation for the Flametongue Totem. So you wonder if the turn 2's now going to be Corsair into patches into Flame Elemental. There's potential for Hero Power. There's also a Crawler possibility. So there's already a lot of options. And there's also Coin Manatide Totem in the trade-off there is also a completely valid option. So
I actually quite like the Coin Manatide Totem play there. It's not the one I would have thought of straight away. But basically Blitz can devote a lot of totems to the board at this point over the next few turns, knowing that he will be able to make a lot of use with them because of the Flametongue Totem. And there he goes, he has coined Manatide Totem. So he can just keep hero powering over the next few turns if that's what he wants to do. He's got Flame Elementals, Bloodsail Corsairs to fill out the turns where he has an odd amount of mana. And he's just got to hope that Nubs doesn't have a board clear. Now, looking at Nubs' hand, he has a Potion of Madness, not particularly stellar against the Shaman. He has Shadow Reaper Anduin. If he can get that late in the game, he will be able to close it out with that. But the key thing he has here is a Holy Nova. So unless Blitz can build his board at the next few turns, he may be looking at losing a lot of his minions to that Holy Nova before he can drop the Thrall Deathseer that he has in hand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, we see Blitz confronted with some really interesting challenges as to what you would like to do. I mean, I personally think I would like to see a Flametongue Totem here and really start pushing the agenda, and probably the Flame Elemental alongside that. You should go with the Galacca Crawler, a little bit more of a conservative line, but still going extremely wide. And again, you're moving into that Thrall Deathseer turn, so it is a good idea to start stacking up your board. And again, to the Holy Nova, that Galacca Crawler is resilient too. So all in all, not a bad play at all. Just a lot of options.
Yep. It's and luckily for Nubs, he has drawn his Powerwood, Shadowwood Death, Shadowwood Pain. And it looks like he's playing doing a play we saw earlier, which was playing a Powerwood Shield on a minion he's about to kill, and then Shadowwood Painting the Manatide Totem. So I like that play, because that Manatide Totem has already drawn Blitz at least 2 cards. I think so, turn 2, 3, 4. It's drawn him, 2 cards, which is excellent. And even though Nubs has dealt with it, I think the damage has been done. It's filled up Blitz's hand, and he can continue laying threats out. You mentioned Flametongue Totem last turn. I like that play's okay, but I think I would rather save it to the point where you can actually get a lot more value out of it. Say when the priest actually drops something onto the board, you can then drop it, start trading off your small minions one at a time, getting a lot more value out of it. Sometimes you get it down there to push the point. Other times you're happy just to build your board when you can follow up with a Thrall Deathseer. Something that can happen with Thrall Deathseer is if your board gets wiped out, played it, you struggle to get back on the board. So I think Blitz needs to be very careful of that.
Yeah, I think considering... Yeah, I agree with you that we should probably be holding the Flametongue for a bit of value. I think the 2 Jade Lightnings and the Claws in hand being a significant amount of burst, more so than, the average Shaman amount of burst, is pretty significant. And then if you do have the read on Holy Nova, the Flametongue will do. And the Bloodsail Corsair, pulling patches onto the right side of the Flametongue Totem is just going to push a lot of damage here. So it will. These sort of fuses, yeah.
So the Holy Nova did clear out the Flame Elementals and the Totem, but did leave the Galacca Crawler and the Flametongue Totem alive. And as you say, the Bloodsail Corsair is going to pull out of patches, getting in for a lot of extra damage. And given that there is a Bloodlust in hand, I think Blitz is going to want to get the board wide as quickly as possible. One of the things that's important with Bloodlust, it is your finisher, obviously, but it doesn't need to finish them this turn. You could just Bloodlust them down to a very low health total, and knowing that you have 2 Jade Lightning in hand, you try and finish them off over the subsequent turns.
That's right.
I like what Blitz has done here. He's just played his second Manatide Totem and Hero Powered. Again, knowing that it's not that threatening on the board, but with the Bloodlust in hand, all he has to do is spread out wide. The downside here, of course, is that Manatide Totem did draw patches into his hand.
And we do see a Dragonfire pickup for Nubs11, so things are starting to take a little bit of a different direction here, and there is a small risk, a significant risk now that the game falls out of reach for Blitz here. I imagine that we see a Dragonfire potion here, but I don't think Nubs has the same thing in mind.
No, I can see him toying with that Potion of Madness in his hand as well. If he doesn't Dragonfire potion here, why would he be Potioning of Madness anyway? Because... Well, he's doomsayering and healing himself. I think he's trying to protect his life total. I think Blitz is going to be happy just to drop patches and Bloodlust this turn and get a lot of damage on the face.
I think it might be lethal or one-off lethal. It's been a long day. I think that's lethal. Oh, yeah, that's lethal.
Yeah, I think you might be right that it's lethal. It certainly looks like it's 7, 10, 10. Yeah, it's lethal. So I think, maybe Nubs has had a long day there. If he had thought the ability to play patches and Bloodlust would be lethal, maybe he'd be playing around it. But of course, he wasn't representing lethal. He needed to have patches or the Bloodsail Corsair and the Bloodlust to be able to do that.
That's right.
Unfortunately for Nubs, Blitz did have that. And I like that play from him last turn. The Manatide Totem and the Hero Power seemed conservative, but knowing that he had the Corsair in hand and the Bloodlust, he knew that he could set up lethal as long as he could telegraph to his opponent that he didn't have lethal. Drawing the patches from the Manatide Totem, not the end of the world, because you wanted it anyway, and having 6 mana, you could still play both. So
and I think conversely, what Nubs was trying to achieve was for the Shaman to sink a lot of damage into his Doomsayer, clear it, and then maybe develop the board a little bit more so the Dragonfire Potion does extract a bit more value, I think is what...
No, absolutely.
Nubs is looking for.
He also wants to not have to use the Dragonfire Potion on all of those totems and things, because he probably also needs it to clear a Doppelgangster Evolve turn. Now, I think the very important thing that's happened here is when I mentioned the key decks in each lineup were Blitz's Shaman deck against the other aggro decks, and Nubs' Priest deck against all of Blitz's aggro decks. And Blitz got his Shaman win out of the way against a deck that not necessarily that favoured against, and he now no longer has access to that Shaman deck against the other aggro decks, whereas Nubs still has his Priest deck. So this could be very interesting.
Yeah, and we see a very questionable draw here for Old Mate Blitz on the Pirate Warrior here. Obviously a patches draw there, no weapons in sight, and we're just he's hoping to ride the value off the South Sea Captain.
Yeah, this is not exactly the draw you want to see when you're playing Pirate Warrior, especially leading the Doomsayer up straight away. I don't think there's a way that Blitz can take down this Doomsayer. I think he's probably just going face with the South Sea deckhand for 2 and then hero powering, which is really not how you want this to go.
It's disastrous.
That said, you can get Arcanite Reapers and things off the top. Pretty sure Blitz was the player we saw that was running Captain Greenskin, so he can amass a lot of damage late in the game when you least expect it. So things are not done and out for Blitz this game. But the turn 2 Doomsayer is a good start for Nubs.
And the Acolyte is super strong on curve here for Nubs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The Acolyte will contest most of the pirates that Nubs could follow up with, especially given that the Acolyte will be in play before any of the pirates are. You could almost go as far as to say that post-Doomsayer, the play that Blitz might want to make is just coin Naga Corsair so that he's not putting out pirates that will get eaten alive by the Acolyte feeding Nubs all the cards he needs to go into the late game.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair observation, absolutely. So we'll see the Acolyte come down here. And if things go Nubs' way, there is potential to set up the Radiant Elemental on turn 4 into the Lyra on turn 5. A bit ambitious. It is a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you probably want to do is just Radiant Elemental and Powered Shield on it to get the card drop going through, leaving your mana up to heal, and also making it so that the Radiant Elemental survives. But, you do what you have to do against Pirate Warrior, regardless of how it pans out. Now, this is interesting. Blitz has chosen to play Prince Kelseth that he drew off the top because that's a pretty high value card, and he's now letting the Acolyte have 2 cards by just trading in the South Sea deckhand and a charge of his Rusty Hook from playing in Zoss First Mate. I think sometimes you admit that your opponent's going to get 2 cards out of the Acolyte, and you just do it so that they don't get 3.
Get it over and done with.
Yeah. I don't know, I think I still like the Naga Corsair there, but if they happen to have a Shadow of Death or a way of killing it, it's not pretty for you.
Not at all. We see
that gets an upgrade. Actually, that's pretty good.
It is.
Like, even if he does, like, it's a 1 on a spell. He's playing the upgrade this turn, I guess, to take out the Nzoth's First Mate. If there's a captain in hand, obviously you want to minimize the number of pirates. But even then, saving it for a turn where you're at Lyra, Radiant Elemental, and he's got Powered Shield, he's got Holy Smite, and an upgrade in hand, whoa, that would be a sick turn. A greedy turn, perhaps, but a sick turn nevertheless.
So considering that Bittertide Hydra is going to be the leading way for you to actually escape this dark hole, do you have to play Captain Patches here and trade into the 3/3 with a weapon hit set up for that as well as possible? Or do you play Naga Corsair and awkwardly double trade? I mean, and that could bait out a death perhaps as well. It's
I like
awkward
that
days all
second
around for
play.
Blitz.
It is awkward, but I do like the Corsair. You trade Kaliseth and a weapon hit to take out the Glimmerroot, and you try and lure out the death. Of course, Blitz has gone for a different play. He's trading patches and attacking in with his hook to put some damage on the Glimmerroot instead and getting it for 2 for Kaliseth. And then, of course, we're pretty certain he's going to be playing Bittertide Hydra the turn after. I guess that gives him a bit more time to draw another weapon to get more value out of the Corsair. You certainly don't want to be playing both the Bittertide Hydra and the Corsair at the same time, because that just opens up Anduin, even though it's several turns off. So it looks like Potion of Madness has put Kaliseth into the captain, and the Rusty Hook has finished the captain off. Now, weapons are pretty good for a priest, and they can heal themselves.
I think you had room that turn to start off with Radiant Elemental Power Word Shield, though, and then do the rest of what you were going to do.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, you had room to do it, and he even passed the turn without 2 mana and decided against it. So I think he is probably hoping that he can get to the Anduin turn, and then once Anduin lands, he'll be using Radiant Elemental and Powered Shield as ammunition. So there's a 9/9 Bittertide Hydra, and Nubs has 6 mana.
I like the Lyra.
Yep, Lyra Power Word Shield gives him another Power Word Shield, which is trying to draw into getting a card that he wants, and it's drawn on a silence off the top, but it's not going to allow him to take out that Hydra in a hurry. The question is whether, of course, Blitz will take down the Lyra with the Hydra. I'm assuming he will, to be quite honest. Especially given there's a Frothing Berserker off the top of his deck.
Yeah, I mean, and you can play the Fledgling.
Yeah, thinking about this, if you play the Fledgling and the Frothing Berserker and then trade into Lyra, you've still got a 9/6 Bittertide Hydra. So the only way a Dragonfire Potion clears all that is if you face tank the Hydra as well.
That's exactly right.
I don't know if Nubs wants to necessarily do that. But of course, that would be if Blitz is thinking he wants to playing around the Dragonfire Potion, which we know that he has.
Yeah, I mean, there is also the option, and again, it's not preferable considering Anduin's in hand, there is the option of Holy Smite as well. So Nubs does have some options to do with the Hydra. It's just a bit awkward anyway you look at it.
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't need to face tank it. It is kind of awkward. And it looks like he is playing the Frothing Berserker and the Vicious Fledgling. Well, he's considering the Vicious Fledgling. I think, again, you want to go in there and try to make sure your opponent doesn't have an answer, and yeah, he did attack into Lyra. So it looks like he is going to get Dragonfire potioned right off the face of the planet. He at least has a Naga Corsair to follow up, but then, of course, next turn he can Anduin that. So this looks like it's coming up Nubs, which, given the opening hands we saw, is not particularly surprising.
No, not at all. Nubs piloting this, about as well as you can pilot it as well. Put himself in a good position. So, all right, we have the 3-mana Warwick, so there's no better time. Oh, I find that interesting, I guess, to get the extra damage in or the most equity out of the weapon. I think I would have equipped the axe there and Naga Corsair and gotten on with the job in case I draw Arcanite Reaper and cards like that soon as well.
Maybe. I mean, when you generally wanted to just overwrite that Rusty Hook and get upgraded straight away is when you're fearing things like weapon destruction. And Anduin doesn't really play that anymore. I mean, at this point, once they land the Anduin on turn 8, taking out your Naga Corsair, you know you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
The Southsea Captain is a 4/4. That only takes 2 hero powers to take down. I'm pretty sure Blitz knows that this game is probably over.
All but over, yeah.
Still, he's playing it out. Well, he hasn't attacked with his Fiery War Axe, which I think is interesting.
I'm not sure, yeah.
I mean, I would have attacked with it because you don't want to be face tanking his minions, and you're going to want to finish him sooner rather than later. The longer this game goes on, the more likely it is that Anduin's going to pew you down. And so you're thinking that you want to attack twice with the Fiery War Axe, then draw an Arcanite Reaper off the top and get that damage in, and hope that they don't draw a greater healing potion. But I don't know, not attacking with that Fiery War Axe last turn didn't seem great to me. Kor'kron Elite is a great start. Takes the armor that Anduin bought. Takes it off. There's the Fiery War Axe hit to drop him to 19. Could have been 15. I mean, even if he had attacked last turn with the Fiery War Axe, I still don't see Blitz pulling this one off.
No, neither do I. Holding over there, just some added insurance as well.
Yeah, a little bit of life gain.
Yeah, I think this is completely fine to get some pings in, go wide, play the Thalnos as well. Why not?
Oh, yeah. And Blitz having no cards in hand, Nubs knows that he can just start machine gunning away. It's not like he's going to need very many hits. Worst case scenario, Blitz draws like a Bittertide Hydra and it's really big. he can just send these minions into it, doing a bunch of damage to his face anyway.
And just start pinging it.
Yeah, there's not really very many scenarios here that are bad for Nubs. A Dread Corsair, again, 4 health, does not take very many hits from Anduin's Hero Power for that. Tank Up is staving it off a little bit, but not really. This is the point. I talked about this with the Murloc Paladin. Once you're down to drawing a card off the top each turn, you lose all of your synergy. No longer do you have 2 Murloc cards working together, you're getting them one at a time. And a deck like Khazagis Priest is quite happy to deal with these synergy cards one at a time. Where it struggles is when it has to deal with them all at once. And unfortunately for Blitz, he is delivering cards one at a time, and Nubs is going to deal with them one at a time while also getting damage in on Blitz's face.
Yeah, I think we'll see the concession from Blitz extremely soon.
Well, I mean, in Zoth's first mate's okay. You attack them to 15 with your Fiery War Axe, then make another weapon. It's not very big. I mean, the question is, there's a Mind Blast in hand, and a Radiant Elemental, and a Silence, and a Spirit Lash. Does Nubs even have lethal this turn? I mean, maybe not quite, but it's not pretty. Of course, his Hero Power hasn't been Razed yet, so we can't Hero Power a million times in a turn. There's a Khazagis there. Khazagis will be particularly good too. I don't even think it needs to be 1 mana. You can just go for 5 mana and try and game for +7 armor to really put the game away.
I think we're maybe seeing a Spirit Lash here if all have gone face like this. It could be very wrong. No, Khazagis first.
Yep. And it's 5 mana potion. There's 7.
It has to be gain armor, and you probably summon 2.
Yeah, or deal 5 damage, because that would probably just be lethal in the following turn. It probably doesn't matter what you pick.
No.
Shortcrown Elite's okay.
Slow death to the 2-mana machine gun.
Yep. Now, if that Fiery War Axe had gone face a turn earlier, that Rusty Hook would have been able to go face last turn, and we would be attacking Anduin down to 5 health this turn, which is a valiant effort. I mean, sure, it's not enough, but I still think, and I'm sure you agree, Chilmy, that missing that Fiery War Axe attack was probably not the best play.
Not the best play, and again, yeah, it doesn't particularly change the outcome of the game, but yeah, if you're looking for ways to improve that gameplay, definitely you need to get a move on and start doing the damage. Like you said, the longer the game goes, the chances of winning the game just go down from there.
Yeah, especially when your opponent has just landed an Anduin. You don't want to give them any more turns than you need to. You know, okay, I probably can't close this out. I'm probably not going to win, but I'm definitely not going to win if I don't attack with my Fiery War Axe this turn.
That's exactly right, and if you definitely can't win, then it's a play that you probably shouldn't do.
All right, so the key decks from each of their lineups have been out. So Blitz's Shaman is down, Nubs' Priest is down.
Mm-hmm.
And by down, I mean they each have a win. So that just leaves Rogue and Warlock for Nubs, and Rogue and Warrior for Blitz.
Yep, and this is now the series really heating up. The gloves are off. So this is really interesting from here. And I think what actually may be difficult for Blitz, considering that the 1-mana pirate that takes the weapon durability away is played in Nubs' Zoo, it might actually be hard to get a win with the Pirate Warrior. I think if he's going to fall anywhere in the series, it's on the back of the Pirate Warrior.
Maybe. I mean, it is going to depend on getting a draw where Warlock Zoo can get on the board. If you can't get on the board, Pirates will be able to stop you. But it absolutely depends on those early turns. If either player lands a Kaliseth on turn 2, that's probably pretty solid. But we shall see. So we've got Nubs queuing up his Pirate Rogue and Blitz queuing up his Pirate Rogue. Some kind of spectator bug has happened to me here because Blitz has mulliganed away his whole hand and not got one back. Can you see an opening hand for Blitz?
No, I can't, no. And I think that's maybe because Nubs hasn't quite mulliganed yet. There we go.
There we go. That makes more sense. Good.
All right. We go Firefly to kick things off. No better 1-mana card besides maybe Swash there, so that's really good.
And you could actually say that Firefly is better here because Swashbuckler pulling patches out is nice. Those are pretty small minions, and sometimes you want to use the Swashbuckler to pull out patches and then trade patches in straight away.
I got to say, I'm surprised that we didn't see the coin Kaliseth into the patches turn. I know it's a bit off mana, but
I'm also surprised, but I guess if you have an Edwin Van Cleef in hand as well, maybe you're thinking that you want to save it until you get another cheap spell. I don't know. Like, you Prince Kaliseth on 2 here, you save the coin for the turn you're playing Edwin Van Cleef, but looking at the rest of your hand, is that anytime soon?
No, and the Kaliseth could have also contested the Firefly perfectly there. And then you're pulling out the 2/2 patches, I think. Yeah, I think that may have been a little misstep, honestly, from Nubs. Should have done things perhaps the other way around.
Still, Nubs, while being behind on board by the looks of things, still has used Kaliseth, so things are looking a little odd for. Could be hard of him as long as Nubs can turn around this board. When I say turn around this board, it looks like he's ahead on board. It's just that Blitz is spending mana this turn before Nubs gets to spend it again. So, Swashbuckler from Nubs gave him a mimic pod. Yeah, I don't know how useful that is. Swashbuckler from Blitz gave him a Vanish. It's probably even less useful, to be quite honest.
And you've got to wonder at what point Nubs is going to comfortably be able to dagger up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm guessing. Oh, there's the hallucinate from Nubs.
So now hallucination.
No. Is he going for an even bigger Edwin? I mean,
we could have gone hallucination, coin Edwin, yeah.
I would have liked a hallucination coin Edwin, because the longer you leave Edwin, the more likely Edwin is to get Vilespined. But instead, it's got Mimic Pod and got a couple of South Sea Captains. They're pretty nice, but they cost 3 mana apiece, so you're not exactly cheating them out in a hurry. Meanwhile,
Blitz keeps firing ahead on the board.
That's right. So, while Nubs has played Kaliseth, his deck is a lot better. None of it's in play, whereas Blitz has a 3/3, a couple of 1/1s, and a 1/2, and half a dagger. He even went face with his dagger there. But I think because he knows he's not spending any mana next turn outside of a couple of South Sea deckhands. Looks like Blitz knows that he's racing.
Yeah, and that's really good. That's really good acknowledgement by Blitz of what his future turns might be by taking the swing there, because there's every chance you're going to dagger up again next turn, get the additional chip damage in. And again, we're seeing the problem with actually not being able to A, dagger up early game, and B, not having played Kaliseth on turn 1 to contest and then have the 2/2 patches come out of your deck. So seeing some very big repercussions from very small differences in potential play.
An interesting play here might be from Blitz, might actually be able to utilize Vanish to get extra attacks in from a South Sea deckhand, just like Quest Rogue used to.
Yeah, except they're not 5/5s, but no, absolutely. For sure that's open.
Well, Hallucination has been spent getting a Sherazin Corpseslayer, a card that I suspect is not going to do anything. I think Nubs is he's too slow on the board here. I mean, he's still on 23 health, so he's not in a lot of trouble, but it looks like we're getting closer and closer to turn 7. Blitz has drawn a Bone Mare. He's got a couple of South Sea deckhands in hand. I wonder if he's going to do the play that we saw Mr. Lego doing, which was Shadow Stepping a 1 mana charge minion, so that he can just drop that on turn 7 and Bone Mare it up immediately. I think I would like that play here.
I think I would too. I definitely don't like committing both deckhands, but I definitely am okay with one hitting, redaggering up, getting the opponent low. Yeah.
Yeah, seems to be what he's doing. I mean, I'd be happy getting another deckhand in here, but of course, if you Shadow Step that deckhand this turn, then you're telegraphing the Bone Mare way in advance, and then your opponent's less likely to fall for it. Because Nubs does have a lot of cards in hand. He doesn't really know what's coming. And there's a backstab. That is going to help in this situation.
A vital pickup.
Still, he's got far more cards than he knows how to deal with. I'm guessing we're going to see South Sea Captain backstab on the Flame Elemental, coin Edwin, dagger to take out the deckhand.
As you flagged before, the only problem with that is our vulnerability to Vilespine is significant now.
Yeah, but then how long do you wait on the Edwin at this point?
I guess what I'm trying to say is we should have done Edwin like 2-3 turns ago.
Absolutely, I agree. A 6/6 Edwin would have been plenty. He's got an 8/8 Edwin now, but if his opponent has Vilespine, he's in trouble. Ooh, instead his opponent has a Shadow Step. Can
you imagine these Shadow Steps were counterfeit coins this game?
Yeah, he'd be Bone Maring this turn. I mean, it's not incredible because there's still an 8/8 Edwin that he hasn't dealt with. But Vanish.
So many options.
And vanishing here just replays the board. It doesn't achieve anything with the Blitz here, so that's not really an option.
No, but I mean, if it was counterfeit coin, you attack one, you vanish, resets the stuff. Next turn, you have counterfeit coin, deckhand, Bone Mare.
Exactly. It's huge. But again, the vanish in this context with the double Shadow Step, we're not achieving a lot.
No. I mean, I think what you need to do is get in for 2 with the deckhand now. Shadow Step it. Next turn, you got to play Bone Mare. Deckhand get in for more damage, and maybe even Shadow Step that Bone Mare. It's not pretty. I think you've just got to respect the fact that this Edwin and this Captain are going to be doing a lot of damage to you. Shadow Step, Vanish. All right, so he's setting up the Bone Mare this way instead. Instead of it being a charge minion, he just wants the Firefly.
Some additional resources, perhaps. I think the right logic's there, but I think it's definitely a lot better to have had the charger.
Yeah. The second Shadow Step maybe being played on the first Bone Mare this turn might help that next turn, but I don't know. This Plague Scientist is okay. I mean, I guess you just make a deckhand kill one of the captains, maybe, but it's not that impressive.
I think you're priced into the Bone Mare play here now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So we've got a 5/5 and a 5/6 with Taunt. Pretty good against the 2/4/4s. I mean, as long as this
Spellbreaker here for Nubs.
Yeah, it's a strong Spellbreaker, but wouldn't you just Bone Mare?
Probably.
I guess Bone Mare doesn't let you kill off both of Blitz's minions. And he's doing it anyway.
Still strong as.
Pretty strong play. There's a 6/6 Bone Mare and a 4/4 captain and an 8/3 captain. I think you Southsea deckhand, you maybe make it poisonous, or maybe you just face tank that captain that's got 3 health and 8 attack. And then your Bone Mare can eat the other captain, because it's actually only a 3/3. Then you're still taking 6 back from the great big... So what if instead you played Southsea deckhand, poisoned it up, it took down the first big taunted captain, then you can backstab dagger to take down the second captain, and then you can poison... Oh, I don't know. You've already poisoned. It's a little awkward.
Yeah.
That Bone Mare is problematic, but we'll see how it goes. Looks like the
I'll
deckhand...
see how Blitz navigates around this for sure. Aha. Alright, so we've got the Theiss on board.
Well, it looks like he's face tanking that 8.
Taking the 8.
Yep. And he's taken out the captain. Leaves him with a 5/2 bone. Okay. He's Shadow Step at 5 Bone Mare.
Firefly, Flame Elemental, and Bone Mare one of them. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the end of the world, of course. And what this sets up is Plague Scientist being pretty good the following turn. And he can face tank to finish off that Bone Mare if he needs to. I'm not sure I'd be happy about going down to 8 health here. Like, Nubs has a lot of cards in hand, but of course Nubs being on 14 is in danger of taking a lot of damage as well.
Yeah. I think Blitz is probably doing the best that he can do in a bad situation here.
Yeah.
I imagine we're going to see the SI agent come down as well.
Yeah. It looks like Nubs has stabilized pretty well, and that Spellbreaker was pretty strong. The Vilespine Slayer is not really that useful. I mean, Flame Elemental is going to enable both combos. Poison will take out one. I mean, you don't even need the poison for the other one, because you can just send 1 damage into that. Yeah, alright, so Backstab instead. Still got a Flame Elemental on board. We've taken the Spellbreaker off the board. You're down to 10 health, though, and your opponent has got Caliseth enabled.
Well, we see a Vilespine pick up there as well.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I like the Zara start.
Yep. Vilespine, pretty stable. I mean, what are you going to do here? Plague Scientist to take out the Vilespine. Your opponent's still got a bunch of stuff on the board. Ugh, 2 combo cards. Well, this has gone downhill for Blitz.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Like, if you Plague Scientist to turn on Cold Blood and trade Cold Blood into the Vilespine, then the Zero just trades with the Plague Scientist.
Yeah, you just got to wonder how you win the game.
Yeah, I don't think you're winning in a hurry. So maybe you Plague Scientist Cold Blood and go face for 5 and hope you can find 9 damage on the top of your deck, because I guess you dagger again as well, so you need 8 damage on the top of your deck. You dagger next turn, you need 7 damage on the top. You're hoping Leroy's on the top of the deck and some. And I can't see that happen in a hurry.
Because fairy dust on the Leroy somehow. Yeah,
Nubs has got 7 damage on board and you're on 10. And he's also got 5 cards in hand, one of which you know is a Leroy, an Edwin, so that's not terribly threatening, but you know that there's a Toxin from Zaryl as well, so that could easily be 2 damage if you're not careful. It could also be +3 attack, I think, is one of them. So there are a lot of ways where Blitz is dead here, I think. And it looks like he's going face. He's like, well, I'm dead with a bunch of things. I just need to try and make sure that I play into drawing something good. I think Blitz knows the odds are against him, but he knows that if he trades, the odds are even more against him.
Yeah, definitely the appropriate play. I think we can open here by drawing a card. 1 mana draw a card. Don't mind that.
I'm very happy to do that.
All right, we have a Shadow Step here. So we have lethal possibility to Shadow Stepping our Zero, right?
Yep. Not just Shadow Step, but also Shadowcaster on Zero.
That too.
Looks like he's
none
playing
of which have happened.
I mean, fishing for lethal here could also leave you facing lethal. So he's just clearing the board up with Shadowcaster on Vilespine and then Shadow Step on Vilespine. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, he's just played an Edwin instead and is trading his Zero. Edwin's a 10-10, and the Vilespine stays in play attacking Blitz to 6. Blitz has no cards in hand. Needs to be able to do 8 damage to his opponent. It's not going to happen.
So Nubs taking a 2-1 lead in the series, perhaps the underdog. Yeah, taking the lead here. 1 game to go.
And that he lost the first time they faced. This is a bit of a turnaround for Nubs. Right,
this is awesome for Nubs, and it's coming down to the Zoo lock for Nubs.
Nubs is down to just his Zoo, is it? Yes, it is Zoo lock. Blitz still has Pirate Warrior and Rogue to win with. Or did he win with Pirate Warrior? No, he didn't.
No.
So Zoo against Pirate Warrior, Zoo against Rogue. It can be pretty tight.
I mean, I believe you'd probably be inclined to queue up the Rogue here just because of, backstab SI7, but equally with the Pirate Warrior as well, you have things like Enzel's First Mate that can be equally effective. So, I mean, you got to win with both anyway at this point.
You do. Right now, he's got to beat Zoo twice in a row with each of his 2 decks. It doesn't really matter which he queues up first.
No.
I think, therefore, Nubs is clearly favoured at this point. He only has to get his deck to work once, whereas Blitz has to get his decks to work twice. So, I mean, it's simplifying it a lot, but I think that's the situation we're in. I'd say the game hasn't started yet. I'd say at this point, Blitz is closing his eyes. He's probably taking a couple of deep breaths. He's probably recentering himself, trying to focus on the game at hand, as you would in the finals. He knows he can beat Nubs, but he also knows that he's down.
Well, if there's ever a chance to kick off super strong, it's going to be with the Swashbuckler here and on the coin for the Rogue as well. And we see an equally good start with 3 1-drops, even pre-mulligan for Nubs too. So it looks like it's going to be quite a game.
So Nubs having Flame Imp, Argent Squire, and Usher's Veteran is pretty strong. Blitz has just decided to throw away a bunch of cards and keep Edwin Van Cleef and Swashbuckler, which are very strong keeps. And he's gotten back 2 SI7 agents, which are also equally strong plays. Of course, the problem here is a lot of his hand wants to make use of the coin. The problem is, how is he going to do it?
Well, a 1-mana spell is a good start.
It certainly is. Now, Corruption isn't exactly a spell that you would write home about, but it costs 1, so it means turn 4, you're still managing to enable combos on your SI7 agents or your Van Cleef or whatever. He's thinking about what to
don't
do
pop
with
the
patches.
Divine Shield into the patches. I mean, you don't throw patches into the Divine Shield here, surely, right?
I think you might, but I don't know. It's hard. Like, what can Nubs play that makes you regret not doing it?
If it plays Blood Imp, perhaps could be something. Even then. Yeah, Blood Imp.
Blood Imp is seeing play in Zoo.
Yeah.
Satellite in particular is definitely making that popular. We've got Atris Veteran coming down to buff the Flame Imp that also came down, so clearly Patches is trading into the Veteran. But that looks like Nubs has the board here. Yeah, I would say we're definitely seeing a coin SI7 agent to take out that Flame Imp and Patches trading into the Veteran.
Hopefully the gold one. There we go.
Looks like it's the golden one. You got your wish. So things are looking a little worse now for Nubs. He had a great board that turn, but SI7 agent is incredible in this situation. All Nubs has is a Despicable Dreadlord he can't play, a Vicious Fledgling he can but will trade with the SI7 agent, and an Atris Veteran on the Argent Squire, neither of which will do very much because at the very least the Rogue can dagger to take them down. I think you just have to run out the Fledgling.
Yeah, I think you do have to run out the Fledgling, and the sad part is Blitz is going to have time to actually dagger up and then into the turn 4 Corruption SI, so it's looking pretty bad for Nubs here.
I don't even think he needs to necessarily do that. He could just Southsea Captain and then just have a 3-3 opposite of 1-1.
True, that could happen too. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got a life tap getting a Bloodsail Corsair, which is kind of the card you want to draw. And oh dear, we have a Shadow Step, which is pretty much the perfect card for Blitz to draw here.
I mean, yeah, you have 2 options here. You can Southsea Captain and leave one of the minions on the board, or you can choose to dagger up and clean up the entire board. So,
I think you attack into one of those minions, then you dagger into the other minion, and you maybe Shadow Step and then just hold on to the SI7 agent. Or maybe you just hope that the SI7 agent is still there next turn, because then you can Shadow Step, play it, and Edwin Van Cleef. Spoiled for choice, really. Or you could go face for 3 and then just Shadow Step and replay your SI7 agent right now to take down the 2-1. Nope, he's leaving it up.
Do none of the above and just leave the 2-1 there, which is very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways it can go wrong. So the dagger's been taken out. Patches and the Squire are trading with SI7 agent. The Vicious Fledgling is now in play and not contested. It's a little bit dangerous.
It is going to get corrupted.
It's certainly getting corrupted, I suspect. Yeah. And I think if you're corrupting it, you're probably happy not to play anything else this turn, just daggering up.
But that does give Nubs the time to actually play the Despicable Dreadlord, so the game is getting interesting.
It is. It very much is. Nubs, of course, does not have very many cards in hand, and he's down to 21 health, so he doesn't have a lot of room for life tapping a lot. But spending his turn 5 on a Despicable Dreadlord, spending his turn 6 on a Defender of Argus and a life tap, you'd be pretty happy with that. Still, this corruption, I suspect Nubs thinks his Vicious Fledgling is going to go all the way, but that corruption is really good right now.
Swashbuckler coming in clutch for about the 1,000th time in the last 24 hours. But yeah, it is interesting as to
in the last 12
you don't
months.
particularly want in the last 12 months. Absolutely, you don't really want a corruption and an SI agent. The Blood Soul Corsair, because then your SI agent's dying for free, so it's very awkward.
Yeah, I think you're happy to take one from that cultist, though. You could even poke it with your dagger if you wanted, but it's also unnecessary. I think you just want to have a dagger in play and have it ready. The fact that a Despicable Dreadlord is coming down is not terrific. Well, no, he's doing it. He's preventing some face damage and keeping that 1-2 off the board.
Yeah, you've just lost your SI agent. I don't know.
Well, basically, it's the world's most expensive backstab. It gained 3 health because the Vicious Fledgling is not going face. Does Nubs get greedy and see if he can get Wind Fury first? No, he does not. Well played, Nubs. And then we have a Despicable. Nothing like putting a Chillwind Yeti into play against an empty board.
Oh, bit of touch.
That's a pretty good bit of Tide Hydra.
Yeah, not bad.
So, I think Nubs was hoping to get a 2-drop off the top. Getting a 2-drop and being able to play a Taunt and a Defender of Argus either side of a 2-drop and the Dreadlord would be really good against that bit of Tide Hydra. So instead, he's just got 1/5/6 Taunt that has already pinged the Hydra, putting Blitz to 18. Looks like there are no cards in the way. No Vastbind Slayers that are going to let that Dreadlord get put aside. So I think the Hydra has to face tank it. And that leaves the Defender of Argus capable of trading back, which would make me think that Blitz then wants to backstab dagger away the Defender of Argus.
I think so, yeah.
It's a Bone Mare turn. And then spend the rest of his mana maybe on Edwin Van Cleef. Does he then Shadow Step the Hydra just to make it more threatening? You know, I think I'd be tempted.
Or even the potential of Shadow Stepping the Van Cleef. Possible.
Yeah, leaving the 8-2 in play. He's Shadow Stepping something. It's the Van Cleef. So that way he gets to keep an 8-2 in play as opposed to resetting the 8-8. I guess actually the 8-8 is more dangerous for you to have. Health. So he needs to be able to trade away the Hydra. Shadow Stepping the Hydra and replaying it is just a liability. The important thing here is that he's passing up into his 7th turn, no minions in play, so that the Bone Mare cannot buff anything. And he's also got 16 damage on board, a Cold Blood in hand, and a Bone Mare in hand. So unless Nubs can put a taunt down, I think Blitz is going to be able to put this game away. If if there's no taunt, we have Bone Mare, Cold Blood, we have a million ways over lethal. So it is going to come down again to the 2 X factors that we flagged earlier. The Zua as opposed to the Pirate Warrior. Yeah.
Clash of the Titans here. If you had to pick a favourite in that one, albeit slight, would you be putting the Pirate Warrior slightly ahead?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough question. I honestly, it could go either way, just on Zoo and Pirate Warrior alone. But knowing that Nubs has also got Defender of Argus in his deck, I think that helps him. Mind you, we also know Nubs, I think, is not running Soulfire, right? Soulfire is really key for taking out Frothing Berserker, so that might be a strike against him as well. I do think, though, what is more likely is that the Defender of Argus is probably going to prove more key than the lack of Soulfire. Oh, no,
I think so. I know the keys to victory are, things like Enzel's First Mate and Frothing Berserker, and conversely, for the Zoo, it would be things like Bloodsail, Corsair, Argus, things like that.
Yeah,
and we see Enzel's First Mate and a Prince Calcis going first for Blitz. That is a pretty compelling opener. And conversely, we have the Bloodsail Corsair into a bunch of 1-drops and the potential of even keeping Argus if you're that keen. So it is game on here.
Oh, God, I'd be really tempted to keep that Argus. You've got 3 1-drops and a coin, right? You lead a 1-drop on turn 1. You've got 2 1-drops on turn 2. Turn 3, you've got a coin Argus. And given that one of your 1-drops is a Voidwalker and another one is a Corsair getting out a minion and another one is a possessed villager, you're probably going to get to Argus up 2 of those minions. The only way you lose with that opening is if your opponent can get down a Bittertide Hydra in a hurry.
So with the Enzel's First Mate come down here, see the Patches attack. I would be surprised if we actually see a weapon swing from the Rusty Vikia, which we don't.
So would I.
Good.
I was actually thinking, I was wondering if Blitz was going to sit on that Enzel's First Mate and play that the turn after Calceth so that the Patches was a 2-2. I think the fact that he has a South Sea deckhand makes that especially palatable because then he actually has 2 players on turn 3. But I guess maybe he was tempted by the Frothing Berserker on turn 3 that just made that a more enticing play. So there's Calceth buffing the deck on turn 2. I think I trade Patches into that Voidwalker now. Otherwise, the Corsair is probably going to eat it.
Corsair gets the value trade, hey, yeah.
I mean, I don't think Nubs is running Galaka Crawler. I have seen some Zoo decks doing this. I've seen Zoo and Rogue decks doing this. They go, you know what? I can only put 1 Calceth in my deck, and given everyone is running Tempo Rogue, I could run 2 Galaka Crawlers. It's like having 2 Calceths. Patches has stayed home. Once you're running Galaka Crawlers instead of Calceth, you can also run Eviscerates. I'm pretty sure I saw Satellite experimenting in Zoo with what's that Warlock spell that does 2 damage to something or gives a demon +2/+2.
It's not called Demon Fire, is it?
God, it might be.
So
maybe he kept Patches on the hope that he was going to draw the Bloodsail Cultist and then just didn't. And then drew the Cultist, but Patches survived. So the Frothing Berserker is a 5/4. I'm going to try and keep my voice down now because my daughter is going to bed. But looks like the Flame Imp and the Cultist, Bloodsail Cultist, is trading into the Frothing Berserker. The Voidwalker is getting to take out Calceth, and there's a Fledgling over the other side of the board. I think Blitz is going to have trouble dealing with that. No, he's not.
Oh, if there was one more weapon charge there. Wow.
It's just the wrong amount of everything, isn't it? So he can play South Sea Deckhand, Bloodsail Cultist that makes the weapon charge bigger, but unfortunately the deckhand not big enough to trade with the Fledgling. If he could get the weapon charge into attack, no, it still doesn't work either way.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work either way.
He could play Captain and Deckhand, but then he still has to attack through the Voidwalker.
I think this is the better of 2 evils.
Absolutely, because if the Fledgling doesn't get Wind Fury and doesn't get too big, then you can land the South Sea Captain next turn and hopefully take something down. I mean, getting a 4/5 Cultist into play is pretty good, but this is not a pretty turn for Nubs.
No, the Yeti's absolutely huge, and I mean, yeah, we're going to see how far Fledgling can carry. And I think the 2/1 weapon here is going to be way too enticing to pass on the Bloodsail Corsair, and we're just going to see a Reaper come straight down, which should be devastating to Nubs.
Yeah, I think the Reaper is going to be very solid. There's an Asher's Veteran.
Okay, are we going potentially for...
You still go face with the Fledgling. He's got another Corsair in hand to finish off that 2/1 weapon, as you say. What do you reckon? +3 health? Yeah. You feel like then that your Fledgling is surviving, but of course we know that an Arcanite Reaper combined with the South Sea, oh my gosh, and a Bloodsail Cultist following it.
Wow.
So Arcanite Reaper and the deckhand is going to take out the Fledgling. Then you've got your 4/5 Cultist, which is going to take out either Archer's Veteran or the Bloodsail Cultist. Corsair, sorry. It doesn't matter which. And the next turn you can play South Sea Captain and Bloodsail Cultist, even if your original Yeti Cultist dies.
Yep.
This is looking pretty solid for Blitz. What kind of draw does Nubs need to come back into this? I mean, we're talking things
maybe,
like...
perhaps Doomguard, but even then...
It's not even enough, is it? I like the face attack there. He left both minions up and went face for 4 to put Nubs to 18. Nubs can... Yep, he's returning face because he knows that they can't take down that Cultist, but I think
this Captain into Cultist is gigantic, though.
It is. I don't think there's any way, outside of top decking the Argus at this point, that Nubs can put up enough defense to stop Blitz going face intensely. Blitz is going to force the point now by going face, which is going to mean that Nubs is going to have to start trading. Yeah, I think it's all but over, especially this Arcanite. Ooh, for a second I thought he was going to consider going in on the Despicable Dreadlord with the Reaper, but yeah, I think putting Nubs to 7 is absolutely the play.
Yeah, for sure.
Nubs can't trade with everything. He has to life tap to get the Defender of Argus, and even then it's dangerous. And I think Blitz is going to be able to safely play the Bittertide Hydra next turn. Yeah. Look at that, there's a Bone Man next turn, and it's going to be a turn too late.
Yeah, it looks like it's all she wrote. Yep, Nubs throwing in the concession there, and Blitz being a champion.
Well done to Blitz. I think Blitz was undefeated.
Yeah, throughout the entire tournament, just stormed through the bracket. So I've been talking administrative matters all day, so I think I might leave it to you for the goodbyes.
Absolutely. Look, it's been a fantastic tournament. I think we can all say that it probably went a little bit longer than we thought it was going to. Blitz blitzed through the field, to put it lightly, undefeated the whole way. And Nubs almost as good. The only losses Nubs had were to Blitz in the semifinals and then again in the finals. So both players putting up an incredible showing, and hopefully we'll see more out of both of them in the Australian Magic scene. If you haven't already, make sure to head on over and sign up to the Hearthstone Australia Facebook group. I can't remember what the shortcut is that you can type in Twitch chat. Did I say Magic scene? I meant Hearthstone scene. It's a magical Hearthstone scene.
That's
Good job.
right.
Mary messaging me in the back channel. Go sign up to the Hearthstone Australia Facebook group. There is a shortcut you can type in Twitch chat. Can you remember what that is, Chilmy?
!HSA.
There you go. Failing that, you can just go to Facebook and type in Hearthstone Australia, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find the group that has currently 2,683 members. Not hard to miss. Come and hang out there. We'll be having more tournaments like this in the future, Hampley. Thanks, of course, to Blizzard Australia and New Zealand for the prize support. And, of course, I'm sure Blitz and Nubs will be enjoying that. Thanks, Neri, of course, for running the tournament on us. She's been struggling away on her... Did you describe it as a lemon computer? It's certainly one. From Chilmy and myself, thank you all for watching. I hope you've had a good time. I know we've had a good time. And we'll catch you all next time. It's a toaster.
Right, farewell, friends.
Neri says it's a toaster of a computer. Let's hope that Neri can get a computer toasted, and we'll catch you all next time.
See you later.